feel like I have to ask you this question. Have you had any crazy situations with anyone? I know you just said most of them have been great, but I feel like there has to be at least that one story that we all have.
On the way to one of the weddings that I was shooting, my phone went completely black.
No.
Yes. Like black screen, you couldn't see anything. Like I think I was still receiving calls. And I obviously come early to a wedding, but not enough time to go and buy a phone.
Yeah.
So what did I have to do? I had to go straight to the store and buy a phone, and I had to go through the process like so quickly. Like usually like you're like kind of like setting it up, or you're like talking to, you know, the salesperson, trying to figure out, I'm like, I have to buy the iPhone right now.
Set it up
like
for me.
on the dot, set it up for me.
No.
And the crazy thing is the guy who was selling me the phone was a content creator as well. So he did the setup for me as I was like paying for the phone and like figuring that out. And then I made it like literally in the nick of time. So
he understood
close.
the assignment.
He really did.
Hey guys, welcome back to GEGEVlog. Today I have Oksana here with me from The Wedding Guest, and she'll be breaking down the services she offers for wedding content creation. As I was looking into the different services offered for weddings, I found that there is a new service being offered in wedding content creation. So it's not a videographer or photographer that you hire, it's a wedding content creator that comes in and gets like the BTS and just like the raw, real footage. And usually the delivery time is a lot quicker than a videographer or photographer would be able to do for you. So Oksana,
thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Give us a little bit more information about what you do.
Yeah, so I actually started this a little over a year ago, and it's definitely something completely new. But as I've started, I've noticed like a lot more content creators have been popping up. I mainly centralize in South Florida, but obviously willing to travel. I did a wedding in Puerto Rico too, which was amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I know, I love the tropical feel of a lot of the weddings that I've shot recently.
I have to ask you,
Yes.
Did you end up getting out besides the wedding, just exploring Puerto Rico?
I did.
Because I love traveling and that's like a big thing for me.
So we actually went cliff jumping in the jungle.
No.
Yeah, and
That
then
is
we went
so
to like
fun.
a ship, like it was like a beach with like a shipwrecked like next to it, so it was really cool to
Wow,
explore.
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
It does remind me of Florida, so I don't know which one is better, but I liked both.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It is a
so
lot of
you have
fun.
a little bit of, you know, work and fun mixed in together with
Yeah.
what you do.
And I'm definitely willing to travel. Like I have a few favorite destinations that I want to travel to and goals of mine that I want to shoot content for, but definitely more centralized to the local area, South Florida.
Yeah. I'm just actually kind of curious, what inspired you to offer this service to brides and grooms?
Yeah, so my friends had been seeing me just create content for my personal page, and there was a wedding that one of my friends needed help with. So she actually asked me to go and shoot the wedding, and it was completely on a whim.
Wow.
So I just took the risk because it was something that I had been thinking about for some time, and everybody was like kind of pushing me into that industry. I'm friends with a lot of wedding photographers and videographers, so I'm well known in like that industry. Like I know a lot of people in it. So then I decided to take a leap of faith and
Talk about pressure.
I know.
I would feel so pressured.
I went in there not even knowing like the bride that well, because obviously I didn't set up the consultation.
Goodness.
I wasn't part of that like initial like intake process, but it ended up working out so well. And I am Russian and Ukrainian, and the bride was actually marrying into a Russian family.
Oh, wow.
So it was like kind of like a cool full like circle moment.
Yeah, with a little bit of a background history there.
And then that just kicked off my business, and then literally during that whole wedding, like I got an idea of my vision, my name, and what kind of services I wanted to offer.
Wow. So how would you describe your content style? Some people, they lean towards documentary, editorial. What would your style be?
I would say I shoot more candid.
Okay.
There are some, you know, brides that want a specific like vibe for their actual wedding video, but it's really a lot of like behind the scenes and like moments that you wouldn't see throughout the wedding day that I like to capture. So an example of that is like a lot of times we have like a first look, like the groom and the bride, but maybe like like the sister's putting on the dress for the bride,
Yeah.
or there's like a father-daughter moment that you wouldn't see. I also like to get snippets of people saying certain things throughout the wedding, so like their reactions behind the scenes
That's the best.
that wouldn't be captured also in photography or videography. So
For sure.
really trying to like fill the gap and not like recreate things that a photographer and videographer would do, although I capture those shots too, but kind of filling gaps of where maybe things haven't been shot.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I come from the background of filming and making photos, and so although I don't do weddings, because I just feel like it's just a lot and too much,
is.
but I know that a lot of when that happens, they actually pose you for different things. They actually direct you to do different things. And so I love that you take the candid approach because it's a different approach. You're not getting the same type of content, you're getting different content. And I think that's a win-win for all brides and grooms out there.
Yeah, and I love when a bride gives me creative freedom. That's my favorite favorite thing to do, because I'll just run with the moments that I see, and then I get to know them through some of the calls. So then I can like shoot what's important to them throughout the day as well.
That's amazing. I think that's the most important thing, I feel like, in your job, is to always provide something that they are looking for, but also have those little tiny little pieces that they're not looking for, but they love.
Exactly.
So we know weddings can be pretty pricey. What services do you offer that could be a great option for couples on a budget?
Yeah, so I think in general, our services are more cost effective than if you were to hire a videographer. And that's, you know, has to do with the equipment that goes into it and then the time to edit. It is a quicker delivery process, but just timing wise and like the initial investment for us is lower. So we can charge less, and that way somebody will get back content from their wedding day and it's video from their day, and then couples will be able to save on that cost specifically.
Okay, that's a great option. I feel like for couples that don't have space in their budget for something fancy. I know sometimes like wedding video and photo could be upwards of $5,000 each.
Exactly.
So I think that's a great option to like be able to hire someone who can capture the day and it not be so expensive.
Exactly. And also it adds on as a service too. So if it's something that someone wants to have on top of videography, it's also something that they can fit into their budget that they might have for the full video and photo package.
Yeah. So what would you say as far as like price range? I know that's probably going to change over time from the moment that we're filming this video.
Yeah.
But what would you say the price range is for you?
Yeah, so packages usually start around $1,200 and then they go upwards to $5,000, just depending on how many hours are being shot, how many content creators, and then like the output of deliverables as well. So how many reels I'd be making, or if there's any like add-ons that they're having for the day.
So if needed, you do hire on other content creators who can help you on that day.
Yes. So I actually have people in certain regions, depending on where the wedding would be.
Nice.
Yeah, that are like my content creators that I hire on, that are already kind of like trained in the field, that would help me. But currently I do all the editing still on my own. So most of the time I'm the only one that goes and shoots the weddings. But if it's a bigger package, I will hire on a content creator to come with.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what would you say is the most popular package that couples go with, and what's included in that, as well as what is the turnaround time for that?
Yeah, so the typical package is 8 hours that people go with, because it really captures like beginning to end of day. Might not capture like the exit or maybe the getting ready part, but the main scenes of like the wedding are captured through the 8 hours. And then that includes 5 reels. And then within that, we also do an unedited gallery. So that's delivered within 24 hours of the wedding date. And then 48 hours after is when I will give them the reels.
Wow.
Yes, so
That's
it's really quick, really quick delivery time, which, you know, right after the wedding, we kind of have to hunker down and do all the editing and go through all the content to be able to give such a quick delivery, but it's definitely worth it, obviously, to the brides to get their content so quickly.
Imagine being a bride and posting your wedding 48 hours after. That's so quick. That's unheard of.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So, you know, a lot of things that come with wedding planning is a lot of stress and a lot to have to keep in mind. As a future bride, I'm actually very curious, what does your process look like from start to finish?
Yeah, so it's really simple. I have an inquiry form on my page that you just fill out with like some basic information with budget, your inspo. Then we'll set up a vision call is what I call it. We'll go through what you want seen at your wedding and kind of go through your budget and what your inspiration is for that day. Then once you start with that contract, I will meet with you a week or two prior to the wedding date. And at that point, your photographer, most of them have hired, we'll have a shot list. So I'll go through that shot list, and then we'll also add in other scenes that will be taken care of like throughout the day. So for example, like a recent wedding that I shot, like she really wanted her nieces to be captured like throughout the wedding day. So she talked through that. Or I also had a Catholic wedding where they went through like, you know, the different like things that were gonna happen through the ceremony so that I would get that captured. So I'll have a more in-depth call that 1 to 2 weeks prior to wedding dates.
Okay, so it's not like a whole ton of work before, it's just mainly just right before the wedding, you want to get clear on what you need to capture.
Exactly. So we want to secure the date, and then once that's done, I let you be. You have a lot of planning to do, obviously.
Yeah.
And then we'll just talk 1 to 2 weeks before. That's when you already have your plan set. That's when you've talked to your photographer. Also, in the meantime, I've also reached out to your photographer or a videographer or both, depending on if you're working with them, so I can introduce myself and know that I'm going to be working with them. And then, yeah, comes the wedding day, and then I'm ready to shoot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love how organized it is, because for brides, I think that's so important.
It is, it is.
So for post-production, do you handle all of the editing yourself, or do you outsource to other people?
It takes me like the next full day to edit all my content. And then depending on how many reels, but usually like I hunker down right after the wedding. So the wedding's over, go home, put all my gadgets on charge, which we'll still talk through gadgets, but and then start editing. Because I want to make sure to give the bride a preview as well, and then she can make edits if she needs to, and then maybe choose a song. Usually I have a lot of creative freedom, but I'd like to give brides that option too, and then they can preview the content I've made.
So what types of content do you usually create as far as like deliverables? What format is it, and what kind of platforms can you post these videos on?
Yeah, so they're mainly short form videos, typically between 15 seconds to a minute. A lot of the videos that are more of a recap for like a ceremony or reception will be the longer videos, but then shorter is kind of like the couple's interaction. So my favorite thing to shoot is golden hour with the couple and just get like that intimate moment. The photographer usually is shooting content too, so we'll kind of tag team so I can get some content, they'll get content as well, and that's typically one of the shorter reels that I'll produce. And like you mentioned, so reels, TikToks, and then they could also post it on YouTube. Sometimes I've been asked to do horizontal instead of vertical.
Okay.
But it's mainly vertical shots, and then I can also shoot horizontal.
Do you use gadgets, apps, or any additional tools besides your phone?
Yeah, so I get asked that question a lot because people would just think I just come with my iPhone, which obviously that's the main device that we need. Otherwise there'd be no content.
Yeah.
But a gimbal to kind of stabilize shots, specifically for like the close-up things or like ceremony. Also lights for like the dancing scenes, or when it comes nighttime, we need lighting for a lot of those. A lot of it is close up still anyway, because videographers and photographers come with like the bigger lights, and I'll do like close up shots. And then also I have straps for my phones and tripods. And then I also use CapCut for editing usually, and then export that out. Another question that people usually ask me is like, how do I give them the content after? And that's usually through a Google Drive or a Dropbox. So all of that encompassed, that's kind of what I use to create my content, and then just make sure that I'm delivering professional content. And then I always have like the latest iPhone. So currently it's the iPhone 16 Pro Max, but every year obviously it gets upgraded. So I make sure to have 2 iPhones as well at all times. And then I also have a memory drive that writes over files automatically as I'm shooting content. So
awesome.
photographers have like usually a double SD card slot, and then I don't have that as an option. So I have like an actual, it's like a circle device that attaches to my phone, and then I'll write over to the files in my iPhone.
That's
so make
really
sure that
handy.
I don't lose content. Yeah.
Yeah, so you like double protect yourself from losing that footage.
And then I triple protect myself by sending it to a shared album during the event.
Okay.
So as soon as something is done, so like ceremony, first dance, reception, like one of the big scenes, like the milestones of the day, I will then share it to a shared drive just in case. So it's kind of like a triple protection program, just because in Florida also it's very hot and phones can glitch, and I just want to make sure I avoid any of those issues during the day.
For sure, and most weddings are probably outside.
They are, and phones can overheat. That's definitely an issue that iPhones deal with.
Yeah.
So I try to protect myself in those areas to make sure that the files stay intact.
So if you were to differentiate yourself from photographers and videographers, what would you say is that number one thing that makes you stand out from them?
I would say it's the quick turnaround time. And then a lot of videographers will do like a cinematic and documentary video for the day. And a lot of my content is very candid, like raw moments. I'll also give them that unedited gallery 24 hours after their wedding date. So they kind of have like a diary and vlog like of their day. So things that maybe weren't typically captured, because a photographer or videographer will go through like a shot list and they'll have very like posed, like staged kind of shots throughout the day. But obviously they'll capture like the ceremony and like all of the main events as well. But this is like on top of and like additional to what they will do for the day.
So give us a little bit more information on how did your journey look like to get to this point, and who inspires you?
So I would say BTS Brides is my inspiration. She is phenomenal. And at first, she also, I think, had a corporate job for the longest time. And I have a full-time job as well. So I'm really inspired by the fact that she took something that's a passion of hers into a full-time business. And now she does it full-time and travels. So every time I see her content, I'm always inspired by what she's shot and the weddings she's gone to. And then my journey personally, I actually started video editing when I was 12 years old, believe it or not, when YouTube was like just starting. I used to watch, I think it was like Fred Again, is that the DJ? That might be the DJ.
You're talking to the wrong person, because I didn't exist before I was 15. That's what my fiance likes to say. I don't know anything that happened in the world before I was 15.
Well, it was definitely Fred of some sort. He was like one of the like popular YouTubers at the time.
Yeah.
And right before that, I would burn CDs of my music. So I got into this like really like tech and like editing, like videos kind of era of my life.
You were that girl.
I was.
You're that girl.
And then later I grew into blogging. So I started a bloggers club in Chicago when I lived there. So I organized events for bloggers and different, you know, like just a mission for us to like get together and like create a community. And then ever since then, I've loved content creation in social media specifically. And I've been just like that go-to person where your friends are like, hey, can you be the person that takes our photos or videos? I'm like, yes, I will do it. And then I decided like, that's my passion. That's something I love to do. And then it turned into this as a business. And now I get to do something I love. And it's also a business at the same time.
I mean, this is also kind of how we met.
It is, which is so cool.
From you doing content creation at a wedding. I was doing photos, my fiance was doing video, and we connected actually from our background. I was born in Ukraine, you were born in Russia.
I was born in Chicago, but my parents are both born in Ukraine.
Okay, so we have that background, and yeah, that's so awesome.
Yeah, we just hit it off so quickly, and then ever since then we've been friends, which is so cool that we got to meet through this industry.
Yeah, I mean, we've also been doing, we've been doing content, you since 12, me since 15.
Wow.
So we're about the same age, so that's so cool.
It is
I love that. So you mentioned that you love to travel and you'd love to travel to different places. What are like the top places you want to travel to shoot wedding content?
Oh my gosh, there's actually so many. But if I had to narrow it down, I would say Italy, Switzerland, Estonia.
Those are some good ones.
Estonia has a really special place in my heart because my parents are from, they actually lived there too at some point.
I didn't know
that. They did.
That's so cool.
And then honestly, Japan would be so cool to shoot in.
That would be.
Yes.
Like Tokyo.
Tokyo, or maybe the outskirts of Tokyo, maybe Kyoto,
oh my gosh.
or Mount Fuji.
That
I do really like mountains, so anywhere where there's like mountain ranges, like I would love to shoot there.
You're there.
Exactly.
Well, one day I know that you're going to travel to those places. You just, you keep doing what you're doing. I think you're definitely headed in the right direction.
Thank you. I appreciate
you're going to end up shooting wedding content. Just send me like a selfie when you do that.
Okay, I will.
I want to see that.
I'll send you a postcard with like a Polaroid.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't wait. I'm sure there's like a lot of competition in this industry. How do you deal with the competitors out there?
Yeah, so I would say it just brings awareness to the service offering itself. Not a lot of people have known about content creation. It's completely new. It's about 2 to 3 years in the making.
Yeah.
So the more awareness is brought to the industry, then the more brides will actually add this on as a service. So I embrace the competition. I think it's more awareness versus competition.
I love that approach. A lot of people would be like, oh, I have to deal with all these, other competitors that are trying to beat my price. But honestly, if you think about it, I feel like that the best way to think about it is even if someone's going to go to someone else because of the price, you don't want those people. You want the people that are willing to pay you your price, right?
Exactly. And I think it's important also to have a specific clientele.
Yes.
And that's kind of what I put out there. As much as the clients are interviewing me and the brides are trying to hire me, I also interview the brides and make sure that it's a good fit on both ends.
For sure. Because you don't want to end up with the wrong client, right?
No.
Or it just causes you a lot of stress and headache.
Yeah, and so far I've had such amazing clients. Like I've loved everyone that I've worked with, and it's really been great to have the weddings that I've shot.
I feel like I have to ask you this question. Have you had any crazy situations with anyone? I know you just said most of them have been great, but I feel like there has to be at least that one story that we all have.
None of them are really related to any of the brides that I've had. It's really just like the story of the iPhone that I was telling you about.
Right.
Yeah, so on the way to one of the weddings that I was shooting, my phone went completely black.
No.
Yes. Like black screen, you couldn't see anything. Like I think I was still receiving calls. And I obviously come early to a wedding, but not enough time to go and buy a phone.
Yeah.
So what did I have to do? I had to go straight to the store and buy a phone, and I had to go through the process like so quickly. Like usually like you're like kind of like setting it up, or you're like talking to, the salesperson and trying to figure out, I'm like, I have to buy the iPhone right now.
Set it up
like
for me.
on the dot, set it up for me.
No.
And the crazy thing is the guy who was selling me the phone was a content creator as well. So he did the setup for me as I was like paying for the phone and like figuring that out. And then I made it like literally in the nick of time. So I still had like 20 minutes to spare, but it was so
He understood
close.
the assignment.
He really did.
Wow.
And so ever since then, now I have 2 iPhones. So just in case something happens to one, I have another one.
So do you shoot special moments like toasts and anything like that? And also, do you do destination weddings?
Yes, so I'm definitely open to destination weddings. Like I mentioned, I did the wedding in Puerto Rico. That's, I know, it's still the US technically. But I will travel. Also with the special moments, I do shoot toasts and first looks and the dances. So I have a tripod that I use, so I can set that up to record any of those videos. It's kind of like an add-on for the packages. So if you wanted the full speech or the full ceremony or full reception, I can just set up another iPhone and do that. A lot of times I do recommend that someone from the family or friend could set that up as well. And then I can just focus on the shots, because that's mainly what the bride will hire me for, is to create those curated videos at the end of the day. But we can also have an iPhone set up to just record those full shots from start to finish.
Well, this is it. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing so many insights with us about what you do. I'm sure there are a lot of brides out there that would love to contact you and get a little more information and hopefully book you for their special day.
Yeah, I would be excited. Like you mentioned, just follow the link in her description to get started, and then I will give you a call and then we can talk.
Thank you guys for joining us today. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Also, comment below if you have any questions to Oksana or to me. Also, click that bell button so you can see the rest of the videos that I upload every single week. Thank you guys again, and see you guys next time.